Chapter 8 Bearer of the Seed. Delmar swiftly climbed the cathedral of towering branches. Good, no fallen. He nestled among the fragrant flowers which formed a canopy over the circle of unity where the tribunal met and listened. Perfect. Even though keen hearing wasn't one of his gifts, his vantage point allowed him to just barely distinguish a silver-haired human speaking in solemn tones below. I, Seth, son of Adam's loins, in Abel's stead, choose Enoch, son of Jared, for his dedication to the Ancient One and his courage. Delmar's born son, who oddly enough resembled his uncle Abel more than his own father, placed his staff in the center of the circle and spoke next. I, Enoch, son of Cain and second son of Adam, choose Tubal-Cain for his strength and dominance. By the ancient's grace, I am just in time. They are choosing now. Delmar leaned closer to better hear. I, Arid, son of Enoch of the tribe of Cain and third son of Adam, choose Tubal-Cain for his intelligence and boldness. I, Enoch, son of Seth and second son of Adam, choose Enoch, son of Jared, for his compassion, and Hojel, son of Arid of the tribe of Cain, and fourth son of Adam, choose Tubal-Cain for his leadership and skill. I, Kenan, son of Enosh of the tribe of Seth, and third son of Adam, choose Enoch, son of Jared, for his wisdom. I, Mahalalel, son of Kenan of the tribe of Seth, and fourth son of Adam, choose Enoch, son of Jared, for his bond in the one mind and favor of the Ancient One. I, Methushael, son of Mehujael of the tribe of Cain and fifth son of Adam, choose Tubal-Cain for his perseverance and life force. I, Jared, son of Keith and sixth son of Adam, choose Enoch, my son, for his integrity and absence of the sickness. I, Lamech, son of Methushael of the tribe of Cain and sixth son of Adam, choose Tubal-Cain for his revelation from the Ancient One and favor of the Hidden Father. Delmar strained to hear the fading voices. No one was speaking now. Have an equal number of votes. Grandmother Eve stepped forward. Sons, your loyalty to your tribe is admirable, yet that very devotion keeps our hearts divided. As is our custom when the tribunal is divided, we seek wisdom from one who has the longest life force. Now that my beloved Adam has succumbed to the sickness, I am the eldest. Take heed and listen to wisdom. I tell you for truth that I have prayed sincerely to the Ancient of Days, and I feel surety in my heart that we must not let our eyes deceive us. Delmar tensed as he saw Eve walk towards the stony-faced large lunge towards her. I thought Enoch was in danger, but perhaps the aged mother needs our protection too. You know very well how I was deceived by the serpent, whose beauty and smooth speech beguiled me and tempted me to do that which was forbidden. And ever since, the fallen have plagued us, seen and unseen, and yea, the sickness too. My greatest hope is that you, my children, be redeemed and return to the garden. This hope is so great that my eyes long to believe this Simjaza, yet my heart tells me no. Thus, I must obey my heart, and I pray you will join your hearts with mine. Delmar watched as Eve moved to the center of the circle and signs towards the sky. I, Eve, mother of all living and daughter of the Ancient One, choose Enoch, son of Jared, and the seventh son from Adam, as the bearer of the seed, for obtaining the Alru and seeing what others cannot. Enoch shall reign in Adam's place. Seth stepped forward and gave the beckoning call. May the Ancient favor Enoch, ruler of Adam's realm. Aye, may the Ancient favor Enoch, ruler of Adam's realm, repeated the elders of the tribe of Seth in unison. Delmar observed the elders of the tribe of Cain as they reluctantly placed their staffs toward the center of the circle. The stony-faced one, called Lamech, finally joined the others, although it looked as if he might snap his staff in two. Yea, let it be done, replied Eve, confirming the decision of the tribunal. Enoch will be honored at next sun's sleep. Let us return to our people and be as one. Eve raised her right hand and instantly Medithers and whatever sabasi you need to make the preparations. Yes, mother, nodded the efficient young woman, trying to hide her beaming smile as she briskly exited the tribunal. Adnah rushed down the stone path, brushing past the elders, almost running straight into Elder Lamech as she made for her tent. "If I hurry, I will be the first to tell him," as she made for her tent. "If I hurry, I will be the first to tell him." Adnah laughed and ran faster. "Praise the light! My husband is the ruler of Adam's realm." Delmore followed the young woman, easily keeping up with her pace as he moved silently through the treetops. He was in a hurry too, but for a different reason. He needed to warn Enoch he was imagining things. Then he saw it again, or rather smelled it, moving silently through the dense underbrush in the shadows. A stench unmistakable and terrible overpowered the strong, fragrant petals covering him amidst the treetops. Fallen, scores of them, and they were headed towards the settee of Adama. Fallen, scores of them, and they were headed towards the settee of Adama. "Greetings, Tubal-Cain," said Father Lamech, his voice as craggy and gruff as his lined face. "I see my son still wastes his strength, even now, while this dark eve has brought shame to our tribe," barked Lamech as he threw back the folds of the entrance and stormed through without the customary courtesies expected, even of one's closest family. Lamech completely ignored the other guests in his son's dwelling, including the great Semjaza and his men, as he ushered the elders of Cain into the tent. Does it matter not to you that your cousin Enoch now rules Adam's realm, while we, the sons of Cain, have once again been denied our birthright?" "Father, what is the sorrow you speak of?" asked Tubal-Cain, jumping to his feet and simultaneously knocking over the tray of food onto Naamah's lap, who had been sitting beside him. Naamah quickly brushed at her best garment, trying to remove the sticky glaze from the Eladi cakes. Hot tears burned her eyes and her cheeks flushed as Tafara gave her a sympathetic look. "And you," continued Lamech loudly as he thrust a pointed finger towards Medici Tafara, "you would bring her into our presence, knowing that even now she spies for them?" And Tubal-Cain futilely. "Honored one," said Medici Tafara quickly as she stood and made for the entrance with a curt nod, "I will not waste water where there is no thirst." "Father, please," pleaded Naamah softly, her eyes brimming with tears. "Medici Tafara is no spy. She has shown me great kindness this sunsleep. She has lighted the burden of my duty so that I could—" "Silence, girl!" Lamech roared. "Is that all you can think of? How you may embrace idleness while your tribe is humbled? If you had been at your post, word of this treachery would have reached me in time. Perhaps a blow would strike some sense into your foolish head." "Enough, human," said Semjaza, who rose in one motion to calmly place one firm hand on Lamech's shoulder and the other on his uplifted arm. "Do not blame the woman for your poor judgment." Azazel and Amezarach, who had been enjoying the meal with Tubal-Cain, stood to subdue any false move of the elders surrounding Lamech. Not that Semjaza really needed help. The two Elohim knew their leader could have easily slain the lot of them with one hand. "Honored one," said Semjaza soothingly, "please be at ease. All is not lost. If you would but heed my counsel, you need not be at the mercy of anyone, save the Ancient of Days. Come, sit and listen to reason." Semjaza once again settled comfortably on the cushioned floor as he beckoned Lamech. After all, did he not bless Adam in the beginning, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply and have dominion over all the earth"? Your brethren confused the wisdom of the Ancient One in this attempt to select a ruler. The Hidden Father did not give you dominion over each other. "Aye, you speak the truth," said Lamech reluctantly as he joined Semjaza around the shared meal. Tubal-Cain and Naamah relaxed and sat too, grateful their father's black mood was subsiding. But this does not change the will of the tribunal. Cain's exile, except for our new moon feasts and solemn festivals to honor the Ancient One, still stands, said Lamech. Tubal-Cain would have changed all that. This Enoch will oppress us with his foolishness. You see how he insulted you, the famous, and just because he was not the one chosen to bring the revelation to us. Lamech, you need not let the shade that darkens Enoch's eyes affect your own. We will not deny the redemption of the Ancient One to anyone who seeks it because of a few unrighteous souls. Lamech exchanged thoughtful glances with the other elders as they silently considered Semjaza's words. Just then, Father Cain peered through the folds of the entrance. Greetings, sons. May the strength of Adam's blood run through you. May you live long and find favor, replied the sons of their patriarch as they rose, showing respect due a gold. A communion of firstborns was no place for a woman, a Medici woman perhaps, but as one of the Sabasi, her place was among the stone fires and dishes of clay that surely needed cleaning. She rose and tiptoed towards the opening as discreetly as she could, but a firm grip, strong and sure. If it pleases the elders, I request the presence of this Sabasi, said Simjaza as he held Nama's hand. Nama turned slowly around to face the sons of Cain, already settling into their seats and passing around mugs full of the drink of power. Her cheeks burned hotly at the unexpected attention of the group, but perhaps more so at the notice of Simjaza, who stared at her intently. Our fine meal has somehow found its way to the floor, and I am not prepared for a fast this sun sleep, said Simjaza with a jovial laugh. Aye, conceded Lamech as he motioned, said Simjaza with a jovial laugh. Aye, conceded Lamech as he motioned for Nama to stay. She's useful enough. Now away with this talk of shame and oppression, said Simjaza, raising his mug high. I say we celebrate the wisdom of the tribe of Cain, for they have the courage to seize their salvation. May the curse be broken! Curse be broken! Aye, may the curse be broken, repeated the elders of Cain. Mugs clicked, drink flowed freely, and laughter followed as the humans filled and refilled their vessels. But they were not alone. Delmar quietly studied the men assembled before him, urging himself to remain absolutely still as he watched the young, very beautiful. He had arrived just in time to camouflage himself on the roof, hidden from the fallen who now surrounded this dwelling, and many of the others throughout the city. He could disguise himself from the best of Satan's warriors. Though their training made them excruciatingly aware of the slightest movement or sound, very rarely did they think to look up. Which is why Delmar's favorite concealment was to disappear overhead, and if any did chance to gaze skyward, they would merely see a reflection of the heavens, which shimmered through his now transparent form. He tensed and refocused his entire being on his mission as he recalled Azam's warning. Do not, Azam sternly. Their very presence can sway even the righteous, and whatever you do, do not inhale their stench. It will cloud your judgment. Delmar pressed the soft alru leaves he held in his hands into his nostrils and breathed deeply, taking in the crisp aroma. Azam was right. The reek of them would drive anyone mad. Beneath him, apparently unaffected by the odor. Now he was thankful Azam made him bring along the alru before they split up. Even with the alru, he was finding it difficult to concentrate as nauseating whiffs of the putrid essence of the fallen swarmed around him. I wonder how Anami and Delmar are doing. Enoch rose from the altar of stones and stretched. His legs tingled as the blood rushed through his veins. He moved quickly about the tent, placing the golden rod, the incense, and the myrrh back into his worn leather sack for safekeeping. What hour is it? Enoch looked up at the full moon at her peak. Already the visions and the voices of the strange men were fading, feeling more like a dream than the hard reality of the drums still pounding in the distance. Swish! Enoch jerked towards the whistling. He wrinkled his nose. Swish! There it was again, that horrible smell. The beasts are going mad with bloodlust. This must be the second kill tonight. Enoch slowly moved his right hand to the dagger strapped to his hip. Swish! Enoch! Enoch! Called the woman running down the shaded path in front of him. It was only Adna. He relaxed and smiled. Light of my eyes, slow down, Enoch chided. What brings you rushing about at this hour, and alone, too? Enoch, oh, the others are coming. They will soon reach you. Oh, it is wonderful. Yes, I see, said Enoch, laughing as he cupped Adna's face in his hands. Tell me what is so wonderful. Oh, Enoch, the tribunal. Tell me what is so wonderful. Oh, Enoch, the tribunal has chosen, blurted Adna, still breathless from running. You are the bearer of the seed and ruler of Adam's realm. Adna threw her arms around him and hugged him tightly. Oh, I am so proud of you. Isn't this wonderful? Yes, Adna, yes. He could clearly see Father Seth and the firstborns of his tribe coming down the path now. For truth, the Ancient One has favored me. This is wonderful news. But now that the moment he had been waiting for, had prayed for, had finally arrived, he didn't feel elated. He felt afraid. There it was again, that awful smell. Anami held his breath as he watched the fallen emerge from the bushes, exposing their deformed figures in the moonlight. Anami took 2 steps backwards, so he stood back to back with Enoch, who now spoke with the woman who had just run down the path. Get away from the human, pretty boy, rasped the grotesque man-like form, and you may save your face yet. You flatter yourself, rebel. Anami dropped his jaw, stunned. No, it couldn't be. I know that face. Tamuro? Laughed Tamuro as his companion snickered. What? No words from the eloquent Anami? Does my terrible beauty leave you speechless? What happened to— Silence, commanded Azam, who stood in front of Enoch and next to Atna. In one whisk, Azam brandished 3 weapons in each hand and raised them high in the air. They were completely surrounded. Anami collected himself and directed his bow towards Tamuro in a flash. Delmar had warned them that the fallen were coming, but he hadn't expected so many. The plan was to get Enoch to the cove, near the Cave of Treasures, a stronghold of the Watchers. They could protect him better there. Onami, he heard Azam's voice in his mind. Tell Enoch to go to the cove. I will call for help. Anami leaned in close to Enoch and prayed the human could hear his voice. Enoch, go to the cove. Enoch didn't move. He didn't respond. Anami whispered again. Enoch, go. Enoch didn't move. He didn't respond. Anami whispered again. Enoch, go to the cove. What's that you're whispering? Tamuro called out as he and his cohorts began closing in the circle around them. Are you asking that pitiful human for help? What a state of affairs! Tamuro laughed so hard, small ventricles in his scorched flesh flapped up and down. Look at the Elohim begging a human. Your father has failed you, Anami. Enoch, go to the cove, whispered Anami desperately into Enoch's ear. If he moves now, maybe we can fight our way through them. Fallen would be upon them. Anami risked a quick breath. Ah! The stench was unbearable. His mind reeled at the onslaught. Dear father, how can we defeat this madness? Thought Anami. Just then a calm, cool voice whispered. You too have an aroma. Use it. Too have an aroma. Use it. His thoughts stilled. What did that mean? The beloved had once told him his singing was a sweet savor. Maybe I should. There's a fountain pure and clean, Anami sung at the top of his lungs. His bright tenor voice soared. From the mount of— He has lost his mind. Azam swung his golden machete in a wide arc with his right hand, stopping one of the crawling forms right in front of him. He'd call for help. Why aren't they here yet? Without pausing, Azam jabbed with the double-edged sword in his left hand as the sapphire-encrusted weapon pushed back two more fallen. Flowing through the land below, holy righteous is the flow. Anami sung louder than he thought possible. Holy righteous is the flow. Azam swung furiously as he watched the fallen begin to cower and retreat. And the fire strong and sure. Anami modulated and continued the fire strong and sure. Anami modulated and continued his song with vigor. Everlasting it is pure. Everlasting it is pure. Azam lowered his weapons and stared incredulously at the fallen who were shrinking back into the bushy undergrowth along the path. A silver-haired human in a flowing robe of gold approached, followed by men in similar garments of red, purple, and blue. Azam relaxed and smiled at the welcome sight lighting up the dark woods. Behind the men were Elohim. Greetings, Enoch, said Father Seth, beaming at the couple. Stolen my pleasure, but on such a joyous occasion, I cannot fault her eagerness. I too would have run had my aged legs allowed it. And now I say this with a glad heart. May the ancient favor you, Enoch, ruler of Adam's realm. May the ancient favor Enoch, ruler of Adam's realm, repeated Enoch on the back. Now, my son, said Father Seth more seriously, Let us commune together. Preparations are underway. You will be honored at sunsleep tomorrow when the new moon is high." "Yes, Father Seth," agreed Enoch. "Praise the light. We have much to discuss, and I must gather your wisdom for the days ahead," said Enoch as he took comfort in the familiar faces of his elders. "But let us go to the cove where the quiet and holiness of those grounds will surround us, so we may talk freely without concern." "Aye," said Father Jared, nodding approvingly at Enoch's suggestion. "Yes, let us go at once," agreed Father. "A wise choice for truth. There be strange things in these woods." "Now, Simjaza," said Lamech, putting his feet up on a large cushion as he rested his head back on his clasped hands, "tell us more of this redemption. With the ancient spirit of an Elohim and a daughter of Eve?" Simjaza ignored the insolence of the human. How dare he address him with such baseness and relax in his presence? "Oh, well, he is a fool after all. I'll suffer him for now." "With a surety, Father Lamech," responded Simjaza as he plastered a gracious smile on his face. Such an offspring would be full of power and perfection. Our eternal holy seed can only produce after its kind. What is born in holiness will remain in holiness." "I see," huffed Lamech as he gave a knowing look to the other elders. The other elders recognized this statement too well. Anytime Lamech said, "I see," in that manner, one could look forward to a long spell of bargaining and a twisting of the arm. Even Naamah, who still busied herself with cleaning and serving, sighed. Father Cain, jumping in, "Please forgive my lack of understanding, but—" "Be at ease, Father Cain, and show your heart," said Simjaza with an encouraging smile. "At least this one has the sense to address me properly." "Well, I understand the offspring which would bear the seed and likeness of his father would be free of the curse, but, what about those who are sons of Adam? How would such a union redeem us?" "Ah, yes, I quite understand your point," said Simjaza reassuringly. "Of course, you cannot re-enter your mother's womb and be born again," Simjaza continued quickly, noticing the disappointment on their faces. But the curse that ravages the blood in your veins can be avenged by a righteous sacrifice." "Oh, that again," said Father Cain, as he tossed the remaining brew into his mug into the fire. "We know not what sacrifice pleases the Ancient One. We of the Elohim willing to share great wisdom with the sons of Adam who have a covenant with us." "I see," said Lamech as he stretched his hands from their resting place and cracked his knuckles. "So speak the truth, friend, and tease me no further. If a father were to give the light of his eyes and the pearl of his soul, a daughter unblemished and true, to an Elohim of high standing, what would that man receive in return?" Delmar would have gasped at the question had it not been for the foul stench of the fallen who surrounded the tent. "I do not like what I'm hearing." To her credit, the beautiful girl who had been serving blushed and looked as if she might bolt from the tent. But she didn't. Instead, she moved quietly to the corner of the room and sat as if her very stillness would make her disappear. "Well, I could not say just yet," said Simjaza with a smile as broad as the sun at high day. "I believe any Elohim of high standing would want to know more about this marriage. For instance, tell me how it is done." Suddenly the sons of Cain howled with laughter. Finally, through the snickers and elbows in the side, Lamech responded to the increasingly disturbing look on Simjaza's face. "Friend, your own flesh will guide you." "'Tis true," said Father Cain, leaning in with a conspiratorial wink. "To know a woman is the highest pleasure." "Well, I may have seen some brute beasts of the field carrying on in some lowly fashion, but I did not think it so with you of Adam." Simjaza recovered quickly from Father Cain's response, or at least he hoped his thinly veiled insult hid the shock in his fiery heart. Satan was right. The Ancient One had withheld from them the highest knowledge and instead had given it to these simpletons. Not only could they duplicate themselves, but also it was some source of great ecstasy. Oh, but you are quite mistaken, my friend, continued Cain. The beasts of the field respond, my friend, continued Cain. The beasts of the field respond merely to their instinct, a time ordained and as predictable as the mist at sun's birth. But we choose our own time and may partake of this pleasure as oft as we like, and even without seed coming forth, if we so desire. Ah, quite interesting. And do tell the whole truth, friend. I hear that Father Lamech here has taken 2 wives, even though the Ancient One has not commanded it. Well, the Ancient One didn't say we couldn't have more than one, Lamech retorted. And he did say be fruitful and multiply. Who can blame me for being such a fruitful man? The elders after, and Lamech almost fell off his cushions from the rambunctious slaps he received from his kinsmen. Delmar could see that Simjaza was seething now, although he was doing a pretty good job of hiding it from the men. But the telltale fluctuations in his aura, invisible to human eyes, were unmistakable to any Elohim. Simjaza was furious. Indeed, answered Simjaza flatly. Look at what freedom he has granted these imbeciles. They act without permission, choosing their destiny as it pleases them. Simjaza breathed deeply and paused before responding. Normally, this soothed him, allowing him time to infuriate him further. Instead of his thoughts calmly falling into their typical logical order, they raced wildly and irritated him greatly. He could only think of one thing. Why did the Father reject us for these? The fallen were writhing with glee as they hovered about Simjaza and whispered into his ear. Why doesn't he move? Likewise, Azazel also seemed unaware of the fallen, who now moved freely among the humans, and Amezarek was busy adjusting the hood on his robe as if nothing else mattered. Then Delmar remembered. Simjaza and his men had assumed fleshly humans. In the flesh, they were as weak and as vulnerable as any son of Adam. Delmar shuddered when he remembered Azam's last warning before they split up. Never attempt to fight the fallen while in your fleshly form, said Azam urgently. Okay, sure, Azam, said Delmar, already turning to leave. No, said Azam, grabbing Delmar's arm and jerking him around. You must promise. Delmar tried to wriggle out of his grip. Okay, I promise. His arm was starting to hurt. Azam held his gaze for a long time, then released him. Now he understood. Wicked spirits. Azam had barely escaped their influence. Somehow he had crawled out of the stench of Lucifer's last gathering before the rebellion and begged the beloved for mercy. If Azam, one of the greatest warriors in all heaven's realm, had almost fallen, what chance did these humans have? Once again, Delmar pressed his nose firmly into the Alru leaves and focused on the girl. Maybe it was not too late for her. Nema sat trembling in the corner. The fallen had completely ignored her. Obviously, they thought she was not important. Delmar eased his way over to the thatched rooftop just above her head, careful not to make a sound. Delmar focused his thoughts on the girl. Run! Go now! He wasn't as skilled in this as some of the other Elohim, but perhaps he could make her hear. He couldn't risk the chance of getting close enough to whisper in her ear and revealing himself. She blinked. Run! Go now! You are in danger here! Run! You must leave now! But instead of moving, she just trembled all the more. What's wrong with her? Then Delmar realized the problem. He sensed her thoughts and emotions. She's afraid. She can't see the fallen, but she can feel them. She's too afraid to move. Delmar slowly inched downward and blended into the folds of the tent. There. Now if I can just whisper in her. Delmar stopped. He watched a fallen dart across the room and sit on its haunches in front of Lamech, while another walked over to Nema and placed his thick, misshapen limb around her shoulders. He pressed himself back into the heavy tapestry. Now then, my friend, said Lamech, you never answered my question. What will you give me for the privilege of my daughter? The elders, who had been talking among themselves, hushed as they waited for Simjaza's response. For her, said Simjaza, staring at Nema, who blood, I will give your enemies into your hands.